Sure.
Roll it, Brad.
Okay.
Very good, Joe.
Okay, so Steve, it makes a change here, sort of sitting back on my seat, because for the last time I was looking at you for 2 hours, I was like, literally, on the edge of it. Was it like that when you got the script? It's a very haunting story, isn't it?
It is, and I felt the same way reading it. And our first meeting, we spoke for probably 3 or so hours about the ins and outs of the characters and the relationships, and it was haunting and dark and intriguing. So yeah, all of those things.
I'm not being rude to say you probably weren't the obvious choice for this sort of role initially. What did you see in Steve's performances in the past to think this is the guy to take on John DuPont?
Well, there's just a general feeling about his characters, which, felt exactly like the kind of person you would not expect to do what John DuPont did, which is murder somebody. And that's how people felt about him. That's how people felt about John DuPont. But all of that aside, I just have always admired Steve. I think he's a great actor. And I'm also attracted to comedic actors because there's just a sharpness and the sensitivity and specificity that I see even in some of the broader comedies that he's in. Just a very, very, very precise actor who, always impressed me.
No, keep going.
Yeah.
This is great.
I can keep going.
Don't keep going. Please don't.
But Steve, Michael Scott, for instance, based on David Brent, The Office, there's an innate sadness to that character, certainly in the British version. Is that sort of an element of your acting, your work you've always wanted to bring out maybe more?
Well, I think there's a universal. I think the one thing that both the characters of DuPont and, say, Michael Scott share is that they both really want to be loved and admired. But I think that could be said about most any character that you play. I would say 90% of people just want to be a part of things. They want to be revered in a certain way. And I definitely thought that of DuPont.
Did you think it was a risk? Do you think this could be, a career risk for me?
Sure.
As you might have done before.
But I think there was a downside, but I think there was an enormous upside too. And I was beyond the risk. I think there was a fear that went with it. That you just don't know. It's uncharted territory, and you're not sure whether you can pull it off. And in meeting Bennett, I was hoping that I could pull it off to his satisfaction as well. He had invested so much trust in me. So yeah, I think there was an element of risk, but that's a good thing. I think that's an exciting thing and a very rewarding aspect of it.
I'm working on a true story as well, a tragic true story too.
Yeah.
That's, I'm guessing, more rewarding, but also more pressure because you feel you have to get it right. You have to do these people justice. They're involved, weren't they, in the making of the film along the way?
They were.
So, how did you approach that, Steve?
Well, as you said, I think there was an added element of what's the word I'm looking for?
Responsibility.
That's probably it. Yeah. The fact that all of these people, they were real people, and that we had Mark Schultz and Nancy Schultz on set from time to time. And I think the responsibility that we felt to them, and the fact that they were so generous with their time and they availed themselves to Bennett and to all of us, that I think that added a weight and a component that we all shared.
Bennett, that Nancy has been quoted that she hasn't been able to sort of be in the screenings when the actual murder takes place. When you're working with such a sensitive topic, how do you approach that? If she's on set, do you work differently because there's real people involved in tragic memories?
No, it can't. It needs to be what it needs to be, and the best you can do is be open with everybody about who you are and what your intentions are, why you're doing this and what you're trying to do. And I think we were fortunate that the people who were involved were trusting and supportive of what we did. But I wouldn't say that I did anything that was considerate of them, that would be a compromise to the film that I think we all wanted to make.
How do you want the audience to approach this? Because I mean, when you go see the Titanic movie, you know that the ship sinks at the end. Perhaps this story is less well known. I mean, I didn't know about John DuPont, and I didn't read up about it either. So for me, it was an absolute shock, the twist, the murder.
Right.
Whereas in the press, the publicity, you're talking about it very openly. And
Yeah.
so what do you want people to do? Do you want people to try and avoid the spoilers, or do you want them to read up and be interested?
I don't think it matters. I think you can go in knowing a lot about the story, or you can go in knowing nothing about the story. I would like people to go in knowing that it's not a normal film. It's not necessarily an easy film. You know, it's a heavy film. It's a dark film, but I also think it's an honest film with a lot of beauty in it.
I mean, Steve, it was a heavy film, a dark film. It's a cliched question, but characters sometimes being hard to shake off. You went and filmed Brick in Anchorman quite soon after this.
Right after, yeah.
So, I mean, was this a difficult character to suddenly go from this guy to Brick?
Yes, it was. To go from, they couldn't have been, obviously, they couldn't have been more different tonally. But I think going to something like doing Brick was helpful, because you have no choice but to shed any semblance of darkness in you. It's just ridiculous. And you're surrounded by constant levity and people who are funny 100% of the time that you're with them. And it was exactly the opposite working on Foxcatcher. It was very intense, and it was subdued, and we were all extremely committed to the story and these characters, and I think that helped, actually, going to a movie like that.
And just finally, the Globe nomination. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm guessing you're not going to get nominated for an Oscar for Brick, but perhaps...
You never know.
But it was a great performance,
Thanks.
I'm not saying that. But perhaps for this, I mean, do you look ahead? Are you thinking about that Academy Award nomination?
I'm looking beyond the Oscars. I'm hoping Nobel, perhaps. I'm going to write a symphony, and we'll see what happens there. I don't know. It's nice to be considered to be part of that equation, but it's very nice. It's very, very flattering to even be talked about.
Well, good luck with the Globe.
Thanks.
Good luck with the
Thank you.
nominations for the Academy
Thank you.
Awards. Thank you.